Ankh in Maat, Hotel, peace. What's happening, everybody? I am Ausar. This is Afrosynthesis, and welcome back to my channel, our channel. I want to start off with thank yous, right? Dua means many things. Duas are in order for all of the love and support that I've been given over this past week. It is so instrumental and so well received. I am moving with much more courage and much more conviction, right? That the modern times are certainly ready and prepared for, the wisdom of our ancient ancestors. I was having a conversation this week. I used to be very afraid to share my voice. Something that I had to come to realize was all of the men, right? All of the Black men with a consciousness upon their bodies, right? That were walking with a hearty spirit. They were all killed by the United States government. Like, not even a question. It's on paper. If you don't believe it, you know what I mean? Again, that you're one of the Walking Dead. And so, no, that's just, that's what it is. And I had to come to really realize that, this fear, remember we talking about last week? That fear that was in me was causing me not to Ankh in my eye. It was causing me not to live in my eye. It was causing me to move in a state of survival because I knew that my consciousness and my voice was important. Well, I realized after this last week, it's like, no, it's no longer a threat. Like we are here to share and to learn, right? I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. It froze over the weekend. So the way I look at it, hell has literally frozen over. Yes, we've froze before, but it's different, right? This is a new year. It's 2024. And like I said, it's now time. The floodgates are open. So I want to start this program by saying shout out to my brother Cam. I love you. I am sending you love and I'm sending you light, my brother. He's inspired this episode in many ways. And the truth is, right, he sent me a video that helped me get in the flow for this, right? Earlier this week, he posted a video by LaRussell. LaRussell is this LA artist. He's out in, on the West Coast, but not LA. I want to say, can't remember, doesn't matter. And so what LaRussell said in his video, he said, you got to know when things are falling apart and when things are falling into place. Super fly, right? It's usually, the truth is usually just simple, man. Basically what he said was like, my mom used to always say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? So is it falling apart or is it falling into place? Is all a matter of perspective. You got to almost remember what you asked for then to see, what the reality is. You got, when you solve a problem, 2x equals 4, divide by 2, cross out, divide by 2, cross out, you got x equals 2. Now plug x back in. 2 times 2 equals 4. All right, bet, we're good. Sometimes we gotta remember what we asked for and plug the answer back in and see if it actually, like I said, fell into place or as the rest fell apart, right? And so it's winter, as I said before. Winter is a season of letting go. And so my spiritual family with the Temple of Anu and I, we're doing a winter detox. And right, detox, short for detoxify, which is short for detoxification. So when you look at the etymology of detoxify, what you're looking at is it's the act of removing poisonous qualities from something, right? Detoxification sounds a lot like intoxication. We know intoxication usually deals with alcohol or some type of drug, right? Something that moves your consciousness or your clarity in and out of whatever sober, natural state that you're in. And so they even tell us, in the words that they're giving us poison, but that's a conversation for another time, right? Because in the Western world, really, and in general, the difference between poison and medicine is usually the dose that you take, right? Like, at this certain level, this becomes poisonous, but under this dosage, that could be the cure for something else. And so again, whether it's poison or whether it's medicine is usually just about a matter of perspective, or in this case, amount and how much, right? And so as I'm on this fast, and today was a day, y'all. I probably napped 3 times because of how my head was just ringing and beating. And but what this is allowing me to do is also say like, what is moving in and out of my life right now? And not so much focusing on my attachment to the thing, but what it's leaving or what it's coming into my life means for my strength, right? And my health and my ability to, like we said, we're light beings, my ability to conduct light and handle business. And so going back to LaRussell, are things falling apart or are things falling into place? I said Cam helped me get in flow when I saw that, because the first thing I thought about was Ausar. And so last week we talked about living in Maat, right? Ankh and Maat. So this week we're gonna talk about what it means to pull ourselves back together, right? For those who don't know, Ausar is the Kemetic name for what the Greeks erroneously call Osiris. I say erroneously because if I call myself Ahasa and you call me something else, right? If I don't go by that something else, that's your definition. What's interesting, as you said, we talked last week, the Greeks constantly rename and redefine. But what we don't realize is they're renaming and redefining at our expense, right? Because when they take that name away, they're taking the spirit of what that name put into that person, that place, that being, right? It also takes away the power of the one who named themselves, right? That's disrespectful, you know what I mean? And we don't always take it like that because we don't always know the original name. And so Ausar, like I said, is who the Greeks would call Osiris. Auset is who the Greeks would call Isis. So we've heard of Osiris and Isis. No, that's Ausar and Auset, right? And so Ausar, Auset, Nebt Het, sometimes called Nephesis, and then Setesh, sometimes referred to as Set, are the 4 divinities that come to earth in the Kemetic creation story to bring life and order to the planet, right? They are the ones who are coming to show the way of how to Ankh and Maat. And so Ausar is the first king of Kemet. He teaches the people how to plant, but not just how to plant with astrological timing. For instance, let's plant right before or right after the inundation of the Nile. That way it floods and brings a richness to the soil, which will allow for us to plant and then have a bountiful harvest, right? It wouldn't make sense to plant in the winter because things aren't going to grow, right? So there needs to be a literal astrological timing to things. The Farmer's Almanac, what is that? That's about how to move with the cosmic rhythm of the planets and the weather. That's living in Ma'at. We just don't realize that we need to get back to it, right? And so after Ausar taught about like the basics and the practicality of living, he moved on to speak about law and governance, right? So that we could organize in polity. Interesting. Polity means civil organization. Obviously, if you live in the West, or if you don't live in the West, but the West is running and controlling a lot of the stuff you got going on in your neighborhood, your town, your country, Africa, you hear me? What we gotta remember, right, is that their politics is not based on civil organization. It's based on distrust and side picking. That is the opposite of unity. Again, usually when they rename and redefine stuff, they either flip it upside down, right? They turn it right side up, or they literally take the meaning and use a different word, right? And it's like, right, that's just nasty work. We got to start converting our things back. And so in this creation story, Setesh, he's fierce, the fiercest warrior of them all. So he is helping build the military, right? There's no point in having a kingdom if you can't protect it. So we must get strong, and we must get clear in our mind. You can't go to war high and expect to be dominant, right? We're on a lot of medicines right now. What happens if we stop taking our medicine? How long are our bodies and our temples gonna be fit for whatever we need to go through? So that's where things like these fasts are helpful, right? Because we need to, again, detoxify and remove these poisonous qualities that are within us. There have been a lot of wildfires, so there's more metal in our system from breathing in these smokes. What does that do for your body, right? Anyway, Ausar brought, right, the science of spiritual life and living. The spiritual science of life is what Ausar brought to the world. Auset, being the queen, began to move around and teach women of beautiful things, right? When it comes to harvest, when it comes to womb care, right? When it comes to being a doula and how to assist with birthing techniques so that we make sure that these divine portals that our women are moving with are healthy and are supportive of bringing gods into being, right? No, I'm not saying that. Yes, I am saying that. So whatever you heard that I just said no to, I flip it. Yes, I am. We, again, are divine beings having a human experience with access to our divine power. If the portal that I'm coming through is damaged, then I have to work even harder to get through or to get back into my divine state once I get on earth. You know what I mean? We've heard about people giving birth and passing these diseases on, right? There's a whole 80s crack baby epidemic. Those babies didn't have crack when they came from the spirit world, but through that portal, that damaged portal, right, things happen. And so Auset and Nebt Het began to travel around with showing birthing techniques and things of this nature, while Setesh, again, was helping with the military and the leadership. However, Setesh grew uncomfortable in the kingdom because he felt unheard and unlistened to by Ausar, his brother and the king. He also felt that Ausar in many ways was weak. He wasn't as strong as him. He wasn't as fierce as him. He wasn't as, like, I don't want to say structured, but Setesh just felt like he had qualities better suited and better fit for king. However, that wasn't his position. And he also understood that the growing dissonance wasn't good for the kingdom and the establishment of order. To pause for a moment, Auset and Ausar are the king and queen. So they are a couple. Nebt Het and Setesh are also a couple. As you've seen, I spoke about everybody, but when I really talked about Nebt Het, I said that Nebt Het was really kind of tagging along with Auset, right? So Nebt Het has always been, in this creation story, she was looking to find her own role and position in the divine scheme of things. And so her confidence, her self-esteem sometimes dwindled because she was always looking for more, right? And so, interestingly enough, Ausar always loved and admired Nebt Het, her opinion, her ability to fight, right? Auset and Ausar, they had a real puppy love relationship. It seemed like nothing was wrong. However, Setesh and Nebt Het, they would fight. They would get into arguments. They had misunderstandings, but they also grew in that love, right? There's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work called Hidden by Moonlight that was written by Nebt and Maat, who is the high priestess of the Temple of Anu. It's a wonderful work of the Kemetic creation story. And I encourage everyone to pick up the book and to let it move your spirit into light, right? Because in this work, Setesh, understanding what's going on, decides to leave the kingdom. he asked the Neteru and the High Council, and everything was in proper order. So he leaves the kingdom to go on missions outside so that he doesn't create issues inside the walls, right? Well, while he's away, Ausar and Nebt Het begin to have more conversations, and in those conversations came a closeness. And in that closeness came an openness and a vulnerability. And in that openness and that vulnerability came temptation. And in that temptation, right, the silence said it all, came a cheating, came an improper laying together. What came next was a child. And so while Nebt Het was pregnant, she began to try to hide what was going on. Auset found out because, okay, we're moving around doing birthing techniques. So Auset and Nebt Het have a conversation about how they must tell, because Ausar's child is going to be the heir to the throne, is going to be a divine child, right? This is a god. And so Setesh finds out, and Setesh creates a plan to throw Ausar's celebration. At this celebration, there's a divine trick that occurs. Ausar is held within a chest, and his body via Setesh and his governors, his henchmen, so to speak, send Ausar's body down the river of the Nile, the Hapi, and Ausar's physical form dies. Auset, via her love for Ausar, then in dedication goes on a journey to find Ausar. She finds him and pulls his body back together because Setesh dismembers him into 14 pieces, right? And so Auset went what? She went on a journey of remembering Ausar back together. When we think about memory, right, we think about our mind. What does it mean to remember something? It means to pull it back together. And so are things falling apart? Are things falling into place? Sometimes things are scattered so that they can be pulled back together in a proper manner, right? Sometimes things need to fall apart because they're, again, no longer serving us. And so what I would say is, as we move through this week, look for the things that are not serving you, right? In this story, there is a beautiful ending of redemption, right? Ausar is pieced back together by Auset's love and dedication. It impregnates her spirit, divine conception. Where have we heard that? Immaculate conception, right? She is impregnated with his spirit, births the true heir to the throne, Heru. Heru challenges Setesh, who currently sits on the throne after Ausar's murder. And Setesh loses to Heru. Heru becomes the rightful heir of the throne. But Setesh then goes on to be that who works with Ra to fight off Apep, which is chaos, right? And so there's a divine symmetry that even when things fall apart, they are remembered back together in a way that brings the kingdom and the wholeness into a unity that was better than before. And so, right, with the kingdom being back together even stronger, what this is a divine, right, metaphor, allegory, analogy for is how to bring our consciousness truly into being, right? We have a version of ourselves that needs to be fine-tuned, that needs to be refined into a higher quality, right? Or that there are poisons in us that also need to be removed, right? So that we can, again, remove the poisonous qualities. And so this is a journey in our own mind and consciousness of how to remember who we are, because once we do that, we are able to birth a new version of ourselves, Heru, and that new version can then be the rightful heir of our throne, right? Does that make sense to y'all? This is a temple. We are divine. However, we have multiple aspects within us, and we need to make sure that we are remembered in a proper order, right? Like the kidney can't do what the spleen does, it can't do what the pancreas does, or what the heart and the lung. You'll be messed up. So, right, in this Western world, they teach you in a way uniformity. They want you to be like you, to be like you, to be like you, to be like you, right? If we look at all these women getting plastic surgeries, there's like 3 body kits, right? We're actually cloning people. It's not in laboratories. It's Dr. Miami and them. But similarly for our mental state of being, they're telling you to look like this and sound like this and talk like that. That's not the case. That's like Setesh taking over your temple. They have uprooted who is actually supposed to be the rightful heir of your throne. So this week, think about the things in your life that you might need to detox from. And as you're detoxing, think about the things you might need to bring into your life to help replenish you. But what I offer you, again, is to go look into the Kemetic creation story and bring your comments back, and let's have a conversation about the ways it's inspiring you to reassemble yourself, right? Pull yourself back together with a love and a dedication that allows for your spirit to be impregnated with a newer self to bring forward light and love into the world. And so with that being said, thank you for joining me this week. My name is Ausar. This is Afrosynthesis. And like I said, so I'll see you next week. So it is, and so shall it be.